Um, just as said, we have two hearings tonight. The first one is 27 Brook Hill Road, and uh, we have this application from Jill and Kevin Robinson, looking to expand their dwelling by adding a deck. Um, the They were seeking a special permit to build an 8 foot by 31-foot rear deck with a set of stairs that go down to the grade. The property is located in a Residence C zoning district. Requires the minimum setback under our zoning code, section 275-10-4, requires a minimum setback of 30 feet. And Article 10, Section 275-10.3, side yards, requires a minimum setback of 10 feet. The proposed deck would be 18.8 feet from the rear lot line and 5.2 from the sideline. And so therefore the building permit was denied. The materials that relate to this application are all available on the town's website. What's going to be happening today is that I'm going to list the contents that are in the application and the materials that were submitted to the board. Then we would be asking the applicant and or the applicant's counsel to present their application. The board will ask questions, and attendees on Zoom would be able to speak once that part is through. There'll be sort of rebuttal, whatever, further discussion with the applicant, additional questions, etc. At which point the board would have discussion, talk about what the relief is requested and whether the criteria for that relief has been satisfied or not, and each a decision, hopefully, based upon the information that we hear today. Um, so I note that the application includes a letter from Christopher Anderson from Oak Development and Design as agent for the property owners. There are abutter letters from 7 Brookside Park, Emily Sinclair. There's the denial letter from the building commissioner dated January 29, 2026. Um, there's another authorization letter from the property owners to Mr. Anderson. We also have a set of plans, a GIS plan, design of the structure, the existing dwelling, and the site plan dated September 29, 2025. We received opposition from an abutter 31 Brook Hill, Kevin Bluoff, and Annie Levine. And I think that's what we've got. Um, so I understand that Mr. Robinson, the applicant, is here as well as counsel. So who would like to speak first? You're muted, Marion.
Marion's going to do the intro for us. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm Marion McKettrick. I'm representing the applicants. Did not file the original application. They asked me to meet with them after the application had been filed to talk about all of the zoning issues presented by this case. And I prepared a letter that I sent to the board after the application was filed. So I'm going to summarize the application for you. Kevin Robinson is here. I believe he has some material that he'd like to share screen with the board, just some additional background. So in any case, the applicants own a home at 27 Brook Hill Road. It was in poor shape when they bought it. It was a very interesting Victorian house. They spent a great deal of time renovating it, and I think they're pretty close to completing the renovation. One of the elements of their renovation was their proposal to add a deck along the rear edge of their house. The deck is at the first floor level, and one of the interesting, just to summarize quickly, this is a non-conforming lot. The house is located in a non-conforming setback where there's a small porch on one side, the driveway side of the house. The actual setback requirement is 24.7 feet. Our bylaws allow the alternative measurement of a third of the mean depth of the lot. In this case, the mean depth allows a 24.7-foot setback. So the existing footprint of the house, which is in the back, is a sleeping porch, rather not unheard of, but an unusual design, original part of the house. It extends on the second floor and is supported on posts. And it's that sleeping porch that's at that 18 point, whatever that measurement was. It's at the non-conforming lot line measurement, rear lot line measurement. Another confusing aspect of the setbacks for this house are that the surveyor, when he prepared the plot plan, determined that the lot line was different from what the building department has decided it is. The building department is treating the line along Pine Tree Brook as the rear lot line. So that's what the measurement of that 18-foot measurement is being measured from. Using the surveyor's setback measurement, the house would not be at a non-conforming setback. The lot is irregular. It has about 5 sides. So there are a number of nonconformities. It's a very old house. It's a pre-existing nonconforming house that's legal as is. But when you add something to the exterior of the house, to the footprint of the house, the standard applied is a special permit standard, and that's why the applicants are before the Board of Appeals. It seems as though, reading the correspondence from neighbors, the issue in this case is the edge of the deck, which is now replacing the small porch, and there's going to be one set of stairs coming off, or proposed to be coming off the deck, whereas the small porch had 2 sets of stairs coming off it, one going down to the rear yard and one going to the front. The door from the main floor of the house in the existing structure led out onto the porch facing the neighbor's house. The new door that will be exiting from the first floor of the house will face the rear yard. It no longer faces the neighbor's home. So initially, from talking to the applicants, I know they felt that they were improving the situation for their neighbors on that side because they moved the door so that it didn't face the neighbors. They took away one of the sets of stairs, and they were just replacing a porch with the edge of their deck. But the neighbors don't seem to be happy. I'm sure they'll be willing to explain their point of view to you. We've spent, in talking to the Robinsons, one of the things they explained is that this is a smaller scale proposal than what was initially proposed by their architect. They looked very carefully at the original proposal, and they decided that a simple deck off the back of the kitchen within the existing footprint was best, and that's what they've come up with as their proposal. The other designs initially extended the enclosed kitchen back toward the rear lot line, created a bump out. There was a proposal for a larger 10 to 12-foot deep deck extending further towards the rear lot line. Or there was another design that kept the second set of stairs off the back of the deck. What I believe constitutes an intensification of the nonconformity here is the fact that in taking the porch down and creating the deck now is located where the rear set of stairs was. So it's moved back. It's moved the depth of the deck back along that side lot line. That is a change in where the nonconformity is located. It's the best way I can explain it. The applicant's argument, I think, would be that this, along with the extensive renovations they've done to rehab the entire property, they feel they are improving the view from the adjacent lots. They're removing a dilapidated porch. They're removing 2 sets of stairs and only replacing with one in a less intrusive location. The door has been relocated so that it doesn't face the neighbor's house. And finally, right now, all of the bicycles and the trash receptacles and everything else are just at the end of the driveway. Once the deck is constructed, the bicycles and trash receptacles will be stored underneath the deck, which will have a lattice work on the bottom, which is pretty common with these decks, and they will no longer be in sight. So it will be, they believe, a nicely designed and more attractive view from that side of the property. Um, Finally, the applicants have proposed, I haven't heard any comment on this from the neighbors, that if still feel that they would like the view to be shielded, they are willing to plant landscaping. If they have a proposal that was submitted to the board that shows evergreen trees, certain species are suggested. These would be planted in between the existing hardwood trees that are along the lot line. So those are the elements that the applicants argue make this not a more detrimental. Well, this proposal should not have a greater detriment to any of the neighbors. And they feel that, there could be alternative designs, and we'll probably be talking about them. All of them have setbacks, have drawbacks that this one does not have. And finally, it just seems that the only issue here is that end of the deck. It's the 5 foot setback that goes into the required 10 feet. And so, it's a deck that goes along the back of the house, but what really just seems to be at issue is that end of the deck. If the board is willing, Kevin Robinson has some uh, additional pictures and documents that he would like to share screen with and then present to the board. Was that acceptable to do that now?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you, Marion. I'll share my screen. Um, uh, Thanks for the introduction. Just for myself, Kevin Robinson. My wife Jill is not able to make it tonight, and many of the things that I have prepared and submitted to the board, they're somewhat repetitious for what Marion just introduced. So, if there's anything that's specifically, I have to take questions throughout this, but I did want to share some pictures just to make sure that everybody's on the same page for the proposal. I think it's helpful to show the history. So my wife and I and our 3 boys moved into the space in 2013, and the house that we purchased, that we found, kind of fell in love with, from 1905. It had been sitting there uninhabited for 10 years. And so if you can imagine what a house that hadn't been taken care of for at least that long would look like, it was moldy and rotting, and vegetation was out of control. It had many animals living inside the home, various parts of the home. And so we moved into the house in 2023, did a lot of planning. In the summer of 2025, we moved out of the house. I'm living in a rental in East Milton, and while we renovate. And so just to share some of the before, it has this gorgeous front curved porch on the front of it. If anybody's been down in this area, it's right next to Steel and Rye. But there's this gorgeous front porch. The whole front of the house was covered in mold. You can see pictures of squirrels living in our roof. The backyard and the yard was full of trash, and clutter and overgrown invasive plants climbing over the house, climbing in through the windows and are inside the house in some spaces. This is the rear elevation that we're discussing today, and so you can see the vegetation growth. The left-hand picture of the vines growing up. It's a good illustration of the sleeping porch that Marion was describing. The stairs from this rear vantage point are on our right-hand side. From the street, they're on the left. If zooming in, there's 2 sets of stairs here. They're rotting and unsafe, and even during the open house, if you can barely see them on the right-hand picture, there's rope blocking off the staircase, which is in such poor shape, primarily due to the vegetation that's overgrowing the space. So I kind of already gave a little bit of this away, kind of as far as the timeline goes, but we started our planning in 2023 for 2 years, moved out in 2025. As Marion mentioned, there were many varieties of modifications to the interior of the house for sure, but the exterior, we fell in love with this, with the charm and the characters of the house. So we're maintaining the same color palette, the same shutters, the same porch, and so we rehabbed the inside to keep up with our growing family, and we're rehabbing the outside, and we're seeking approval for the rear deck, and we're planning to move in 2 weeks on April 30th when the moving trucks arrive. And so from the rear elevation, this would be an updated photo. The deck would be off of the back. The kitchen, I guess the easiest thing to anchor us here is that this piece of plywood is blocking a brand new exit door to our kitchen. It used to be on the right-hand side here. On the side as it leans out to this is the second point of egress from the house on the first floor. This is the landing and the stairs coming back. So the deck would be within these two main posts of the sleeping porch all the way over to the right in the footprint of the existing stairs. I may have a bullet on here for no garage. So I think I'm the only house on the street that doesn't have a garage. So it's a very small lot. Um, we do have all the normal things that a family has to store, trash, workout equipment, surfboards, bikes, strollers, and it's got to go somewhere. And so we plan to use this space as a space to put some things very, neatly and intently, but it will become a useful space for a lot that doesn't have a garage. The design materials itself, I think, are very complementary. High-end materials, natural woods, and such. And so I don't think we haven't discussed too much about any opposition to the actual materials that we're using, but it's something that, as Mary mentioned, we can only believe it improves the quality of the home and the appearance in the neighborhood. There are a few other renderings that were provided. But I would love to let me just poke to see what else I had. Um, if lot coverages are applicable for code, I did do some my own research. And so just from an aerial view, the left-hand side is the existing lot coverage. So the sleeping porch takes up the space on the left. The existing deck and stairs going towards the front of the house and the driveway and towards the backyard are on the right. The new lot coverage only expands in this green space in between those two areas. And we're actually eliminating the piece where it's red because that whole staircase is sliding back towards the rear of the lot. And a lot of numbers here, but looking at the estimates from a square footage perspective, the existing building lot coverage is 1,300 square feet. We're increasing it 162 square feet for a total of 1,493, which I believe is less than the 2,200 square foot maximum. The house itself is very small. Each floor is only 800 square feet. So the first floor is a rather small footprint compared to all of the other homes. We bought maybe the smallest house on the street as well. So, yeah. And the last one, I think is the last slide I have is this is the landscaping proposal. So, we think it's something that we're going to be doing as kind of a later phase due to budgetary constraints, but love to build gardens and do landscaping and plan to put some nice privacy hedges on the property if that's helpful. But that was my last slide. I'm happy for questions or wherever this should take it.
Thank you very much. A gentleman who I forgot to introduce as Ted Daber and Jeff Mullen, who are also sitting on the panel with me. So Jeff or Ted, do you have any questions for Mr. Robinson?
You want to go first, Jeff? Or
Go ahead, Ted.
okay. So, Marion, you were talking kind of quickly, and to be honest, the site plan was kind of hard to read in terms of distances. There were a lot of numbers on it and lines and everything. Can you go over for me again, just so I have it in my notes, the distances? Like, the required distance you said is 24.7 as you measure it?
Correct.
Okay.
That's based on the mean depth of the lot, which the surveyor did calculate, and the building department apparently agreed with that. So what you have, first of all, the footprint of this house, the closest point of this house, of the footprint of the house, is the back corner of the sleeping porch. So
Right.
that's at 18.8 feet from what the building department considers the rear lot line. So that's the lot line along Pine Tree Brook. You can see that there. If so, as you move further along, down, it's a little hard to see on this drawing. I'm sorry, I don't have a pointer, but if you look at the deck drawing, you'll
Mhm.
see the sleeping porch you can see a line where the end of the sleeping porch is. And
Yep.
then, so
Oh, right here.
because the
Yeah.
back lot is at an angle, the
Hmm.
distance from the rear lot line increases pretty rapidly as you go down the
Right.
back of the lot. Another point that nobody has stressed, but I do want to point out, is that the back of this lot is slopes rather severely towards the brook, which means the backyard is at a significant slope, and it's one of the reasons that a deck is a very good addition to this house as space for the family to use. They have young children and that kind of thing, and they'll use it quite a bit, I'm sure. So the dotted line that's shown on this plan is not 24.7 feet. We tried to get the surveyor to come back and redo the line at 24.7 feet. But what I've done instead, as the dotted line curves down at a right angle, more or less, you can see that it's actually at a 30-foot distance from that short piece of the side of the lot, which the surveyor considered the rear lot line. So I just visually took that distance and sort of turned it in the direction of the deck. And so visually, it appeared to me that at least by the end of the sleeping porch, this new deck is actually at a conforming setback from the rear lot line. Now, nobody is really arguing about that issue. We don't have neighbors on that side who are complaining. That doesn't seem to be really the concern here with this application. But it is sort of this is a confusing plot plan to look at, and I just wanted to explain how I understand it, to what I understand it to mean. So the surveyor tried to draw a dotted line where he thought the allowed footprint was the maximum building area, I guess, and it's just that's not the lot line that the building department thought was the lot line. Their short lot line on the left. Um, so maybe Ted, or if someone else has more questions, you could explain to me what else you want to know.
Sure. No, thank you for that. That helps and clarifies it. And on the side, I understand, or it seems that there may be a difference of view as to where the property line is, and does that mean there's a difference as to, again, because I just want to get in my notes and everything, as to what the proximity is to the property line
I
from
don't believe there's
the
any difference of opinion, as this is an on-the-ground survey plan.
right.
So I
Okay.
don't believe, and the neighbors will correct me if I'm misunderstanding this. I don't believe anyone is disagreeing about where the lot line is.
Okay.
So
All right.
the setback for the house is at a conforming measurement. It's at 10
Yeah.
feet, or approximately 10 feet. What is not conforming is the side porch, which is at 5.2 feet from the side lot line. So
Right.
the existing nonconformity on that side is what the building commissioner is treating as the porch. You can see it here. And then leading down to the right, there are steps. And actually, they go also into the rear yard, I believe. Um, so what's happening here, though, is that the steps are going to be there are going to be new steps where the porch is now, and or to the right of the porch, and then the deck itself is going to be at 5.2 feet, but it's going to be further down along the lot line than the existing porch is. To me, in my view, that's the change. That's the intensification of the nonconformity. It's like
Right.
taking a corner of your house and extending the corner of the house another X number of feet. And the corner was already a non-conforming corner. So I asked to have these measurements confirmed. I just wanted, and the surveyor did confirm that the distance setback to the actual house is 10 feet. So there was some
Yeah.
discussion in one of the letters you received, and I'm sure the neighbors will talk about it. The survey plan, plot plan, seems to show, or appears to show, that part of the fence and a little edge of the driveway is actually over the lot line. It's not uncommon
Mhm.
to find something like that when you do a survey plan. As you know, this is a very old house and the house was unoccupied for 10 years. So that's
Mhm.
just an existing, that's a finding, I guess, that the surveyor made, and the neighbors and the owners can certainly talk about that if they want to correct that somehow. But that isn't really what's at issue before you today.
Okay, thanks. And I guess my only other question is, which occurred to me as I was going through these and the other case we have tonight. Has there been any contact or discussion with the Conservation Commission about it, or is there any need to? Uh, because of the Pine Tree Brook back there.
I'd have to ask the owners about that. And if all the other work hasn't been inside the house. But
Right.
if there is an issue, they might have to go to the Conservation Commission to get an order of conditions, and the Conservation Commission might have some control, some protections that they wanted placed along the brook when the work takes place on the deck. But I don't know.
Okay.
Kevin, have you had any?
No, there's been no no indication that there's a requirement from the Conservation Committee at this time.
Okay.
I can note, sorry, from the building department that in the permit request, it did go to conservation and they did approve it.
Oh, okay.
No,
Okay.
I think that might have been that was the other case, I think, Bill.
No, I
Yeah.
believe,
Yeah, that was the other case, I think.
Yeah.
well, I can look at that, but I believe this is fine.
Chris,
Okay.
Chris is on, so that's, I mean, that aligns with the narrative or history that I understand. Chris, is that
That's
sound
correct.
accurate?
I spoke to the building department a number of times and it wasn't told that way it would have to go to conservation committee, but if we do, that's a conversation that has to happen, but I was not told that that would be needed.
Yeah, I guess I'm not that kind of attorney, but there'd have to be a filing, I think, for a determination of applicability, I guess it is. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But, they might say nothing has to be done or it's fine or whatever.
Yep.
But it might apply. So, okay.
Yeah, they usually want protections along the edge of the brook so that nothing,
Right.
disturbs the brook while you're working.
Which is notated on the survey. Those would be the silt socks during the construction period.
Mm-hmm.
Red
Okay.
line there. That's
Yep.
about it.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know.
Those are all my questions. Thank you.
And Jeff?
Marion, I'm not understanding the significance of the discrepancy with the rear lot line. Does it make a difference with respect to this application if the rear lot line isn't where the building department believes it to be?
Well, interestingly, I don't think it actually does because, because of what I just explained to you, because as you move along the deck past where the sleeping porch is, at that point you're far enough away from the rear lot line anyway,
Yeah.
even if it's along Pine Tree Brook. And the other part is where the existing porch is. That's an existing footprint of the house, and you can build underneath the existing footprint of the house. You don't need further relief for that. So it doesn't actually make a difference. I guess it just was something that puzzled me, so I started looking at it to try to see whether it did make a difference.
Which is right? Which is correct? Do you
Which
know?
lot line is correct?
Yeah.
I always have to accept what the building commissioner says.
Yeah.
I'm not an engineer. I thought it was
Okay.
interesting that the engineer chose the lot line location to be different, but we haven't argued about it, and we've simply accepted what the building commissioner said.
But Marion, just to be clear with the words that are used, the lot line is not being debated. We're talking about the setback line, correct? If that's Jeffrey, I don't know if that's what your distinction for what your question is, but the lot line, there's no challenge to the lot line. It's at this dotted setback line. If you can see my cursor, appears to be placed 10 feet
Yeah.
from the edge, as if it were a side 10-foot setback. But there's no question about the lot line itself.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
Yep.
It's just this. It's the setback line.
the
But
setback
building,
line. Mhm.
yes.
But Mr. Mullins' question does, I believe, go to what I was looking at, which is Well, which is the rear lot line, and does it make a difference for this application if the rear lot line is in a different place? And my conclusion was that it doesn't actually make a difference in the end, because either way, the new part of this deck, the part that goes beyond the sleeping porch, would be with a conforming distance from the lot line anyway, which is only 24.7 feet. That's the required setback. And it's, of course, well away from the other lot line if you use that as the lot line.
So with that background and those assumed facts, can you, in a sentence, articulate to the board the purpose of the special permit? What's driving the need for the special permit?
I think it's the side, I believe the reason a special permit is required is, well, number one, this is a non-conforming lot.
Yeah.
That's one non-conforming. And the other reason is that this deck will be located as proposed at a non-conforming setback from the side lot line. And although it will replace an existing porch, was at the same setback, it will be located, the deck itself is actually further along that lot line. So that's an intensification, in my view, of
Yeah.
existing nonconformity. That requires a determination by the board that the proposal will not be substantially more detrimental than the existing condition.
Thank you. Last question. Have there been efforts to lesser the impact here by modifying the back deck, redesigning it in a way that's less intrusive?
Mhm. I'd like to, with your permission, I think I'd ask the owners to address what they've looked at in that regard.
Sure.
Yeah, so as Mary mentioned earlier in the introduction, the initial proposals actually included a bump out. There was multiple rounds, but one included a bump out underneath to like include enclosed space for the kitchen underneath the sleeping porch. And maybe I can go to a different slide. To encapsulate the space under the sleeping porch above the basement ground level and just have a deck on the right-hand side of it. There was another one to bump out the whole space all the way out. Um, the the depth from the back of the house to the edge of this sleeping porch post is approximately 8 feet. So that's the current proposal is to make this an 8 foot deep deck. If you have a standard outdoor dining table, which we would like to place on the deck, that's actually not enough distance. So the original architect and designer said you should do a 12-foot deck to put a standard table on there. And we said, no, we don't. We think that's too much. We want to actually have a larger yard. We want to be able to see over the deck to watch the kids from the kitchen window. So the modifications that we made were to shrink it to the pre-existing depth of the sleeping porch posts and the edge of the stairs here. If that was your question.
No, that wasn't my
What about the
question.
right side of as we look at this
So,
picture, excuse me,
yeah,
sorry, Mr. Mullen, do you want me to clarify or?
I
Sure.
mean, I guess,
I think the question is, what
yes,
else
go
could
ahead.
you do on the right side, if anything, to decrease the impact? Could you change the design? Have you thought about that? What would be the
Yes.
alternatives?
Yeah, we have discussed the challenging part here is that we acknowledge that there was a pre-existing side porch. And so from a privacy perspective, we moved the door. That was extremely intentional. Previously, we could see in from our kitchen into the neighbor's kitchen while we're eating dinner. So we moved all the interior space to the other side of the house, and we moved the door to aid with direct view privacy. Um, the stairs on the right hand side here it leads down to our driveway. So we thought about putting the stairs on the totally opposite side of the porch, which is away from the close neighbors. It just didn't seem practical to have to walk to carry groceries all the way around ground level back up through a larger set of stairs. Um, there, the current location of the steps is seen here in yellow. Soon as we move the door, we said we don't need to have flat deck space on the side of the house. So this red space is where we are conceding deck space. We're sliding the whole stack back towards the rear lot line. That is a concession to say there's no purpose for this. We're trying to make it smaller. Beyond that, I mean, I did stand in my neighbor's kitchen at 31 Brook Hill Road on multiple occasions to discuss the plans and to talk about alternatives. There were proposals to totally remove this building material that's on the side of the house and move it to the back. And so to create a staircase that's extending further towards the rear lot line and then drops down to the ground level. It's like 12, it would practically be like 12 steps. You're down on ground level, you gotta climb all the way back up to go to the driveway. So it didn't seem fair to make such large modifications from a from a functional perspective. Trying to understand my neighbors at 30 and Brookville Road's concerns with it just being a goes from not seeing anything to seeing something when you look at your kitchen window. There was a proposal that this piece here that extends on the side of the deck, what if we lower that to be one step lower? So that becomes the platform, gets the structure down a step, and then we carry on to you would be able to reduce one stair on this little set here and get down to the driveway. So there's a handful of stuff like that if it's helpful to continue, but I'll pause there.
I have no further questions right now.
Well, thank you very much, and actually, thank you for that sort of discussion of the alternatives that you had thought of, because I was sort of thinking, well, what if the steps just moved around to the back? But I looks from your pictures and looking from the plans, you do have a significant drop from that first floor down to the yard. At this point, I would ask if members of the public that are in attendance would want to raise their hands to speak to this application. Bill, does anybody have a hand raised? Did anybody hear me?
Yes, Kevin Blue of 31 Brook Hill Road.
Mr. Blue, welcome to the Board of Appeals.
Hello, Kevin Blow, 31 Brook Hill Road. Thank you so much for letting me speak at the meeting. Would I be able to share my screen?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah, so just to provide a little history, since 2023, when the Robinsons moved in, we've had a really good relationship with them. We enjoy their company very much. The boys have an open invitation to play in our trampoline, and we are pleased that the Robinsons are remodeling. That's great for the neighborhood, and they care about it very much, and we're very pleased that they are doing that. It started to get a little bit more contentious when they proposed the deck to the town, and as you know, the deck has been rejected because it's 5 feet from our property line. There's been a lot of talk about the 19 feet from the rear property line. As Marion said, not too much of a concern for ours. It's really the side deck that we're worried about. I want the Zoning Board of Appeals also to take a look at the 30%, 50% building size regulations as well, because one of the things that we object to is bulk, just added bulk. And I believe they may be close to violating some of those zoning regulations as well. We think the zoning regulations are in place to protect the neighbors, and we're asking for a little protection, I guess, in this endeavor. So the Robinsons, just to give you a little bit more background, they did ask us to support a special permit. We expressed some reservations. We had 2 conversations with them, and then we offered to compromise, but instead they went with the original plans, which we found disappointing because we thought they weren't taking our concerns, seriously. So you've seen this diagram before, and just if you look at the bottom, it says where our house is. It's to the south of the Robinsons, and just our property is 5.2 feet from the deck, and the and the existing stairwell as well. We have four basic, sort of objections. The overall bulk. So that's, where I was hoping the board would investigate the 30 to 50% rule, and the increased nonconformity, as Marion said, from the property line. There's two existing structures over the property line already, and I know it's not exactly relevant to this deck, but, and by the way, one of them they did create themselves. It wasn't pre-existing. So, but it just speaks to the fact that we're just feeling a little encroached upon in general. And then they do have a lot of beautiful outdoor living area already on the existing porch. So it's not like they need a place to go outside. They do have that already. So, why do they need such a large deck in the back? I don't think I need to spend time on this, one thing I just want to say is, there's a lot of talk about the second floor sleeping porch, but there's nothing on the first floor currently. I don't know if you can see my little pointer, but there's nothing where the deck is on the first floor or the basement. And so the first floor and the basement will have all this additional, what I'm referring to as bulk. So, that should be considered part of their living area. And just to do a rough calculation, the deck is 8 by 31 by 4, say 4 feet with the railings and all the furniture and the planters. You're talking about almost 1,000 square feet. And then under the deck, they plan to enclose that in lattice all the way around. So that is essentially outdoor storage, space. So they're adding a lot of bulk to the neighborhood here. I calculate about 1488 cubic feet. If it's 6 feet tall or so under the deck. So, that's some added bulk that should be considered. That bulk might be, on the right, I show another neighbor who has a deck, and that's 55 Brook Hill Road. Look at what they have in their backyard. There's so much open space around it. They've got lots of room on the property lines. They've also got a bigger lot. Compared on the left, if you look at the Robinsons' house, there's so many buildings right there. It's a little fishbowl what we have going on there. And decks are wonderful, and they can also be loud because there's a lot of people that congregate on them and such. So I just want the Zoning Board of Appeals to understand what you're bringing into the community here. And remember that it's not for just the Robinsons, it's for the next people that move in. It's going to be grandfathered in for generations. And so, that's a significant thing that the board should consider. Here is a picture of sorry about this, my terrible artistic rendering on the right of the way the deck might look from our house. We're not so much concerned with the looks, but the increased bulk. But anyway, on the left, that shows the existing stairs going down, and then on the right, it will be a bigger impact. And I don't believe in my drawing, I really made the deck high, the railings high enough. I don't think I scaled them because, as you can see on the right, they aren't even as tall as the existing porch balusters or whatever. I'm not sure what they're called, the posts. So, there is some existing nonconformity, right? But there's more nonconformity with this proposed deck. And so the Robinsons are, my opinion is that they love this place so much. They're so excited about it that they want to just fill every square inch of their property, And so right here, what you're seeing is the garbage cans and the new trees that are actually on our property, part of them. This fence here I measured from here to their deck, and it's 6 feet 10 inches. So that's 1 foot and 8 inches over the property line that the fence is. And so, they can't take control of all that. That's our property. And then here you see the gravel driveway. This is all something they've added here. So really the property line is right along this asphalt driveway, but they've added this gravel driveway, which is about 2 feet over our property line as well. So that's not something that was pre-existing. They have large vehicles. They wanted more space, and they put it in. And it's I know they didn't do it on purpose, but that's over the property line, and so you can see how we're feeling a little bit encroached upon. Here's the picture of the beautiful porch that they have around the front and the sides. So. I calculate the square footage of the existing porch to be 350 square feet, 8 feet high. So it has also a 2,800 cubic feet volume or so. It's very, very nice off the front. So, I just want to say that, of course, we want the Robinsons to have a beautiful home and everything. I just think they're asking for something that's too big. It is non-conforming. It's more non-conforming. And even the bulk might be more non-conforming. I guess I'll leave that up to the board to determine that. But we really want them to have a great home, but we don't support this large, even more non-conforming deck on a smaller lot in a congested neighborhood. So that's all I've got for you today. If anybody wants me to go back to any of these slides, I know it was kind of fast, but so I'll keep them up, but I can stop sharing whenever you want to get rid of that.
I'm happy with that. I don't think that we should keep them up, unless Ted or Jeff, do you want those up, or do you want to see them again?
I don't have any questions.
No, but
Okay, so I'll stop sharing.
Great, thank you very much. Does anyone else have their hands up to speak? Bill?
Don't see any.
Maren, would you like to address the comments from the abutter?
Yes, there are a few things that I can say, and I'm happy. I haven't talked to the abutters directly myself. I'm happy to hear their point of view and their concerns. Some things I think are a little confusing. Just to address it and then set it aside. The issue of whether if the fence is in the wrong location, if there's a gravel edge that's been added to the driveway that goes over the lot line, these are easily corrected. And if that's what the neighbors want the applicants to do, not in connection with this application, I have no doubt that it will be done. So I don't believe those issues are a problem for this application. And the reason they're evident is because they just had a survey plot plan done now. And now they find, that those two things are, maybe the case. Okay, to go back to some of the other comments, the deck is part of the proposed deck will be part of the house. It will be part of the footprint of the house. And that's why the surveyor engineer did calculations about lot coverage. And in fact, there is no violation of the lot coverage requirements for this lot. But in fact, this is a Residence C lot, and there are no accessory structures. So it isn't actually subject to that part of the zoning bylaw. There's no lot coverage restriction or gross square footage restriction on a C district lot. That isn't to say that it isn't an issue. I understand the point that the neighbors are making. But there's no violation there. The existing nonconformities have to do with the side setback primarily. And it's not the entire bulk of the deck that's at issue that violates the coverage requirements. It doesn't. The only question is whether something can or should be done, whether the board feels it's the most advantageous design is the one that's been presented. Or whether there's a solution and it means bringing the deck back to 5-10 feet from the lot line. I don't know whether if the board wants the owner to talk about that a little more, he can. But I think you might have your own questions. So let me see if there's anything else. Just, I mean, I don't know what the neighbors' compromise proposal was, but the neighbors, they have had two meetings and they just haven't really been able to agree because, it's pretty evident
Mm.
that the applicants really do want to add this deck and they've explained why. They made it as narrow as possible and it's visually attractive running the length of the property and not, you know, it's not a weird design in any way and we'll replace some rather unattractive looking stairs and porch right now. So I think that's pretty much everything I have to say in response. Thank you.
Thank you. Uh, Gentlemen, Jeff, Ted? Jeff, you're muted.
Mute.
I don't have any questions, but before we, if, Madam Chair, if you're going to put this to a vote, I think we should probably talk about whether or not that's appropriate at this time. I do have some concerns that this project isn't ready for a vote based on the testimony that I could share now or at the
Mhm.
appropriate time.
Having gone to the citizens planning session a couple of months, a month ago, they suggest that you don't take a vote on the closing the hearing until you pretty much discuss whether or not you want to have conditions and that sort of thing. Because once we close the hearing and
Yeah.
discuss it, Marion can't put anything, or the applicant can't say anything.
Yeah.
And so I would hold off on a vote to close the hearing until we've had more discussion about it.
Yeah, that's actually what I was suggesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
And confirmed by my educational session at Holy Cross.
So I think is it appropriate now? Do you want me to
Yeah,
say
yeah,
this?
yeah. I think so.
So I think there, I think this project needs some more work. And, I'm listening to the applicant on things like the encroachment. And while the encroachment isn't directly related to the nonconformity, it does go to density. And it is a concern of the abutter. And while it can be resolved, I'm concerned that it's not resolved. And my question is, when will it be resolved? So this
Mhm.
seems like a perfect opportunity to take advantage of that. That's one point. I don't think
Mhm.
there's been a sufficient analysis of the Conservation Commission's jurisdiction here, given the locus and the indication of the 100-foot buffer zone that's obviously on the plan. We need to hear from them, I think, before
Mhm.
we do anything about building within the area. Maybe not a big deal, but the fact that we don't have anything from the Concom at all on this hearing, I think calls for a little bit more homework. And then lastly, on the density at all, I'm not satisfied that enough has been done to examine limiting the impact of the nonconformity. I know that the testimony was that the deck has been made as narrow as possible. That was the language used. I'm not sure about that. And I still don't exactly know how this deck works. I think some more work has to be done on that, given the proximity to the property line, and in particular, the objection of the abutter. So those are the concerns I have that I think call for a little bit more work or some more work on this that I would like further evaluated and resolved before I voted on it. Now, if the decision is to vote for it, I'm happy to vote for it too. I'm happy to vote on it. We'll put it that way,
Mhm.
if that's the decision. But I wanted to express those before you did close the hearing.
Mhm. Okay. And Ted?
I tend to agree, particularly with respect to the Conservation Commission. I think they have to be approached and appropriate forms have to be filed to make sure that they agree with what's being done and impose whatever conditions they may have. Um, if we're talking about the side lot line, I agree that it would be optimal to have everybody happy. Um, um, I guess, and the one view from the kitchen is helpful in that respect. But and so if there's a decision to have a little more work or discussion by the parties on that, I would favor it. But that's, we're not at the point to vote yet, so I guess that's all I'll say.
Well, I mean, on the issue of the sort of the bulk that the butter had raised, I mean, I think that is a situation that the building commissioner would have called out.
Right.
If that had been a violation, he would have added that to the list of things that concerned him. I don't think you can count open space under a deck as part of as part of the bulk of the building, whether it's covered with lattice work or not. And I could certainly see, you can't really, it seems to me that you wouldn't really make, fixing the encroachments of the fence and the gravel driveway as a condition to the special permit, because that's not really apropos. But we certainly would encourage an agreement from the applicant that that would happen. But I think I agree that I'm concerned about the Concom coming up with an issue that hasn't been addressed. We do have another project that we're having a hearing on later on this one, and we do have a letter from the Concom on it. So, and that's backing on the other side of Pine Brook. So it's something that is kind of flagged for us quite obviously by the fact that we have an application from something on the other side. And I would sort of like to think if there was some way to, move the steps in some place so that it wouldn't be within that 5 feet, would be something I would kind of encourage tooling around with a little bit more. But I agree about the issue about the Concom. So I mean, I also am recognizing the fact that the deck sort of sits within the same sort of footprint as the extension of the sleeping porch on top, but it's obviously much bigger than the sleeping porch. I would, if we voted for it, I mean, I would require, the screening that had been suggested or the obviously the lattice work around the bottom to improve the view. I was struck by the fact that the Mr. Blue's rendering of what the potential deck would look like actually looked better than what is sitting there now, with the lattice work and the railings. The current steps aren't particularly attractive. So we could take a vote. We could ask whether or not the applicant would consider, whether we could continue this hearing till next month. Is another option. I don't think that, I mean, I wouldn't ask for a full withdrawal, but do you think you'd be able to, Marion, do you think you'd be able to hear from the Concom in a month?
Yeah, I mean, the engineer on this project, the engineering firm that did the plot plan is Merrill Engineering.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
a firm that
Yeah.
do this type of work all the time.
Yeah.
I think I would ask the applicants to go right back to Merrill Engineering and say, what work did you do so far on this? I mean, you did this work for us. It's an existing house. And so I'm not going to presume to cite the regulations that are applicable to this existing house and something being added to it next to the brook. I think Merrill needs to go back, it needs to respond, and if it's necessary to get any kind of approval or review from the Concom, then we have to do that. We would try to do it within a month or as soon as possible if it's necessary. I would like to get a sense from the board whether what they're also saying is that they feel that that if the deck edge were brought in 5 feet, so the deck ends where the house is that the solution that solves some of the problems that you see here, or is it not? I mean, I'm a little bit confused by some of the comments. I think we need some clarity as to what we should be coming back to you with. And we would certainly want to continue the hearing and not withdraw.
Yeah, I started that. So let me, I think you know, Marion, that the board wouldn't give you an answer to the question without having seen it. My point was, I don't think enough work has been done on what's possible there, and I would say there needs to be more work done with respect to limiting the non-compliance with the requirements of zoning before we were to vote. As to whether or not I would say it has to be 4 feet, 5 feet, 10 feet, I don't know because the deck also has to function. I understand that. But the whole purpose of the hearing is to talk about that issue, and it doesn't feel to me like it was studied. A detailed study was done on the viable options to address the concerns that are being expressed at the hearing. So I
Yeah.
hope that's helpful.
We have done work actually on that option of, I'm speaking for Kevin Robinson here and their architect, on that option of taking the deck back 5 feet. We really, needed to know what the board's reaction was in general, how they saw these concerns. If you want to let Kevin Robinson speak briefly about that, you can.
I don't think we should negotiate that.
You want us to come back anyway, so
Well, you're gonna have to, right?
Yeah.
And you
yeah,
feel
we
like
have to
there's some
come back.
homework done. You've got some
Right,
instructions from the board, but
right. I
we
got it.
try to avoid we're not negotiating.
I
Is
understand.
Yeah.
Thank you.
but just for Jeff, just for my clarity, um, this feels a little similar to when I spoke with my neighbors. And it was they unfortunately they feel that there was no compromise between what we had presented to them and their opinion. I had a very hard time understanding what their opinion was. Um, and so I'm sitting here in the same space, confused if I feel like anything I bring back, unless it's just smaller and there's nothing on the side, it's going to get voted down.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we didn't say that. We're not your
Hmm.
neighbors,
okay,
and we're not negotiating with you. We're a
okay,
adjudicatory body. You have to make a presentation.
Yeah.
We'll make a
okay,
judgment. And you have
okay,
some issues that we've laid out that need to be addressed, and some concerns that we believe have been legitimately raised. And there's a standard that we have to comply with. So you've got to kind of juggle that in coming back. I mean, that's just my view. I'm just one member, but
okay.
wait, but I can't be any more direct on
Okay,
what we think.
I get it. Thank you.
Is Marion, is it worth sharing the other stuff
I think
disclose that
since
to the
you,
board
you
that we
have
have
to
done?
resolve the Conservation Commission issue. So that
That's
means
totally understood. Yep,
yeah,
of
we
course.
have to go back we're going to have to come back to the board, and the board has kindly offered to put more time into this application by having us come back. So my suggestion would be, let's come back if you have a plan that does that. Let's just submit that along with the information we get about from conservation, and schedule the hearing ask the board to schedule the hearing with enough time so that we can get that answer. It's too bad your engineer isn't here. I don't know how long it would take to get the Conservation Commission information, but we'll certainly do our best to do it quickly. And on the other, yes, we should be able to come back. The applicant should be able to come back with concrete alternatives if that would help, because he's already worked on them, and we'll see what you think about those.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think we really need to see that, yes, we investigated this other option and we took at this and the steps would be, like unbelievably terrible or whatever. But I think we need to have more details on that and sort of
Okay.
looking at more of those options
Okay.
to see if we can address as best we can the fact that there's a, pretty tight side yard.
Yeah, sure. Yes, thank you.
Now, we did, take a vote to meet on the second Thursdays of the month, and so
Mhm.
that would be May 14th.
Well, we'd like to
Yeah.
make that date.
Yeah,
We can ask for it.
and we
Yeah.
can always schedule it some other time, but that we were trying to sort of make everybody's lives, especially Bill's, a lot less insane by setting up a standard time. But
I
that
just
of course
want to check.
depends upon the ability of these three members of the board to meet, and they may not be able to do that on the 14th. But we would, that's sort of where we would be starting with, and then taking a look to see what works for Ted and Jeff.
That
And for
works
you.
for me. I'd recommend that we mark it for the 14th, and if the applicant can make it, we'll have the hearing, and if they can't, we'll find
Yeah.
out.
Right. I'm assuming that I would be able to write to the board if we don't get an answer from conservation,
right.
asking you to give us some additional time.
Yeah,
And we would have to bring that up at the hearing and announce it, but yeah.
right.
Okay, thank you.
14th is open for me too.
Great.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Marion, on the point about writing to the board, I think it would be helpful to have in the record an issue, your point about the fact that it's in a residence it's C
Yeah.
district with respect to the bulk issue, just to put that, just to have something in the file.
I will do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for the time you spent with us tonight. We'll try to get this completely presented to you next time.
All right.
Thank you.
And thank you very much, Mr. Robinson
you.
and Mr. Blue and Mr. Anderson for attending and everybody else that possibly signed in.
Thank you.
And so we will take a vote to continue this hearing to May 14th. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Jeff? Okay. All in favor to continue the hearing until May 14th.
Right.
Good night.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Our second application of the night.
Excuse me, do you have to have a time for that, or is the date okay?
Oh, we'll say 7.
Thank you. Sorry.
Because we don't have anything else on that date so far. So I'd like to call the hearing for the 42 Central Ave application by Jennifer Ann McGurty, seeking to add a second floor to a pre-existing non-conforming dwelling. So their application was dated March 26, 2026. She's seeking a special permit to build a 27-foot by 43-foot second floor addition to the existing structure. The property is located in a Residence C zoning district. And whereas the zoning bylaw Article 4, Section 275-4, 1B requires that any additions to any non-conforming structures be contained within the existing envelope of the dwelling, and the proposed plan would expand the nonconformity upward. So therefore, the building permit was denied. All the materials related to this application are on the website for the ZBA, and it will be me, Kathleen O'Donnell as chair, Jeff Mullen, and Ted Daber as members. In the file, we have the request for the relief, and as been pointed out, is height only. The addition follows the existing footprint of the existing structure. There are butters letters in support from 41, the residents of 41 Central, Nicole Looney and Kevin Robinson. A letter of support from Jeremy Harold at 44-46 Central, from Danielle Looney at 47 Central, and Kristen Deleuze, I think was the name, I couldn't read it, was 48 Central. There's a denial letter from the building inspector dated March 17, 2026. We were also given plans, the plot plan, construction plans dated done by Don Rosa, dated January 6, 2026. We have a Conservation Commission determination of non-applicability, a GIS map, an engineering letter on the foundation indicating that the foundation will support a second story. And then we have opposition letters, all from members, condominium owners of the building next door. Unit 8, Mary Sweeney, Keith Stewart at Unit 3, Bridget Lonergan at Unit 9, James Roddenmeiker and Douglas Shaheen at Unit 14, Janet McCluskey at Unit 12, and Barbara Ostendorf at Unit 18. And I think that is everything that we had in the file. And I understand that the applicant is here representing herself. Welcome. And that you have a PowerPoint presentation that you would like to share with us.
Yeah, I'll turn on my audio. Sorry.
Great.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'll share now if that works. Hopefully. Okay, can you see my screen?
It's coming up. There we go.
Perfect. All right, well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for your time and the opportunity to present our proposal. We appreciate everybody's consideration. Sorry, it's gonna take me a minute to get through the slides here. At a high level, 42 Central Ave is a legal, pre-existing, non-conforming home, and the proposal is purely vertical addition with the existing footprint, no increase to the existing non-conformities. The design that we chose was intended to be appropriate for the neighborhood, maintaining a traditional residential scale while minimizing the impact on the neighboring properties. The home was originally built in the early 1900s, before a lot of its current neighboring homes, and like many of homes from this era, much smaller scale than what's in the neighborhood today. Let's see. My husband, Alex, and I, he's actually wasn't available tonight to join, unfortunately. We moved into this home in 2017, and at that time, it needed some significant improvements, both inside and outside. Fortunately, Alex is a general contractor. He works a lot of local Milton jobs.
That's handy.
Surrounding communities. And we spent a lot of significant amount of time over the years thoughtfully renovating and maintaining the property. Here's just kind of some of the work that we've done. And I think we've taken a lot of pride in the home and contributing positively to the neighborhood. Let's see, what we initially thought would be a shorter stay has now turned into almost 9 years. And over that time, we've given a lot of thought to our long-term housing needs, including a growing family, aging parents. And while we did consider moving, we truly do value the neighborhood, the surrounding amenities, and being part of the Milton community. As you can see here, our home is the shortest in the neighborhood, or its surrounding properties. And so we wanted to work on a plan that we thought really just kind of elevated, kind of brought it up. With that in mind, we explored how we could thoughtfully reinvest in our home to meet our long-term needs. Given the constraints of the lot and the surrounding conditions, expanding vertically within the existing footprint seemed like the most practical approach. We worked with a local architect/engineer who confirmed that the existing foundation can fully support the second story. Importantly, we feel the proposal remains within the existing footprint, maintains the current setbacks, and does not increase the existing nonconformity. We also coordinated with the Conservation Commission to confirm that there is no impact on the Pine Tree Brook. The rendering, sorry, I apologize. This is maybe not the best rendering, but ChatGPT helped me with this. The rendering is a general idea of the proposed design. We believe it's consistent with the character of the neighborhood and represents the natural evolution of the home while remaining appropriately scaled. We intentionally maintained the existing roof line to keep the overall scale modest, and the windows were sized to meet building code requirements for egress, but also being mindful of placement for neighboring properties. We've shared the plans in advance with neighbors, including members of the adjacent condo building at 36 Central Ave prior to submitting our application, and have had conversations with several residents. I actually understand that I think just this week, a number of letters have recently been submitted from our neighbors at 36 Central Ave, primarily raising concerns related to views and privacy, potential shadowing. We understand these perspectives and have tried to be thoughtful in our design. Just to kind of show kind of some perspective here. So for reference, this image shows the portion of the condo building that aligns with our home's footprint. It includes a stairwell, along with the bedrooms and bathroom windows that are already there. And as you can see, despite the close proximity between our two buildings, it's really just our driveway that separates these two buildings. Actually, all of the floors, even the first floor, have lots of natural light, which is great. And then I know residents at units 8 and 14 have expressed concern about potential impacts to their views. So I thought a visual was helpful just to kind of understand what that means. So for context, any change, because we're just going up over our existing footprint, so the change in view is really like if they were standing on their balconies, which you can see here, kind of in the center here, and they look to the left, that would be how their view is changing, because they can currently potentially see over our roof, and then our roof, if we go up It would just block that view from the left there. And let's see. And I do want to point out too that a lot of that balcony views that they have actually also looks down into our courtyard, which we've always kept very nice and well maintained in our stay there. So that would not change because we're not changing the footprint of our building in any way. And then this is just kind of for perspective too, just kind of showing how the buildings align on that side of our home. So hopefully that's helpful. And then importantly, we've also received support from direct abutters. So 44, 46, 48 Central Ave, which are also some buildings in very close proximity to us. And then also some other neighbors, both front and rear abutters. They've reviewed the plans and feel that the proposal is consistent with the neighborhood and will not negatively impact light, air, privacy, etc. We believe this is modest, thoughtful improvement that allows us to remain in our home long-term while maintaining the existing relationship between surrounding properties. We value being part of this neighborhood and hope to continue investing in our home here for many years to come. And just want to thank everybody for their time and consideration, and happy to answer any questions. And apologize, this rendering is 100% not to scale, but I wanted to at least show what that might look like, even though the buildings aren't quite in the right place, but hopefully general enough sense of what it would look like.
Thank you. Gentlemen, any questions?
Is there an actual design?
Yeah, we got that in the file.
It's all in the file. Yep, there's let me see.
Is that, can that be put on the screen, or?
Whether Bill can call it up?
I can stop sharing.
Bill, do you have access to those files?
I can look. That's fine.
That's fine. I can try to find them quickly.
Yeah, no, let me
Plan.
Yeah, I can see if I can pull that application. Bear with me.
Give me 1 minute here. I think I found it. All right. Can everybody see?
Here we go. Yep.
You got it? Okay.
So here is, let me know where you want me to scroll to.
And on the size of the addition, what is the square footage being added, and what is the current square footage?
Yep. Sorry, it's probably, yeah, I don't have that. So I want to say we're roughly, our main floor is roughly 1,100 square feet. And then it would be roughly the same that we're adding above. It's a little, sorry, I don't have that detail in front of me. But we do have a bump out on our kitchen rear, which we wouldn't be building over that. So it's actually slightly less because of that.
And so as we look at these renderings, everything that's been crosshatched is new?
Crosshatch is new. So our intent though is to continue it's currently, we have a stucco kind of beige color. So we'd actually keep it the same color and stucco all the way up. But yes, crosshatch is new.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Anything else in here that I should scroll to or stop sharing?
Let me just I was looking for so just to clarify, so we're trying to remember what the height difference is from.
It's just over 10 feet we're going up in total.
And then I know, I mean, I've seen the house, I've seen the neighborhood, and you have a building, you have the condo building next to you.
Yes.
Which it's got 3 stories, 4
floors.
4 floors. And then you've got another building on the other side, which
so
is
basically, yeah. So we have when you're looking, I can bring up that picture again too if it's easier. But when you're looking at the front of our house, so to the left is our driveway. Directly on the other side of that driveway is the 4-story condo building, and then kind of in front of us is a multifamily building. It kind of you're looking.
Yeah,
I
right.
know it looks like in the renderings. I mean, you can see the whole house, but you really can't from the street. And then we also have some close neighbors, 48 Central Ave, that kind of their backyard kind of backs up to us, and it's pretty close on that side as well. So all of those other close neighbors
Yeah.
have all
And then,
have
and
all given letters of support, with the exception of the condo building.
right.
Yep.
And then, of course, there's also, isn't there a plumbing business back there too? Or
There's
is that,
there's plumbing stuff. Yep.
yeah.
Um,
Okay.
I think we're all tangled. We're all right on top of each other.
Yeah.
Not well, actually, I think the condo building, they did find out when they did the survey. I think some of their utilities might be under our driveway, but separately on the plumbing side, yeah, I think that there's some intertwine. We actually
Yeah.
replaced our main sewer line shortly after
Oh.
finishing renovations, so we're aware of that.
Uh-huh.
But that's all been done.
Ted, did you have any questions? Ted?
I think
He's muted.
Oh.
Ted, you're muted.
That was pleasant for you, wasn't it? No, I do. Thank you, and thanks for the presentation. Before I forget, there was the first page of a Conservation Commission form that is submitted, which it doesn't say what the determination was. Would you?
Sorry. That was the original. That was the form I had to bring to once I was complete, and it had to go to the registrar. So I have a full packet of approval from them. I just scanned in the one page it was a pretty substantial packet. And
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I looked at it because it was on record at the Registry of Deeds.
Yeah, I looked at it too. It was a little bit unclear, but
sorry, sorry. This is all new to me, so I just figured the first page that was on record would be helpful. But yes, no, I did get a full approval back from them. And if you go, when I was following, is it Permit I? You can see that they signed off on there as well.
Okay. Was that your impression, Kathleen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yep. Except for the condition about vehicles that had gasoline in them or something.
Right. Exactly.
So I had a question. There was something in the submission that said that the second floor was largely within the footprint of the first floor. Is that?
It's actually a little less because we don't have so our first floor kitchen has a bump out, and we wouldn't be going up over that. So it's actually a little bit less than our existing footprint.
Okay, but it's not outside the footprint.
No, it's all within. Yep.
It's all completely in the footprint. The driveway that goes back there, is that your property, or does it belong to 30?
Driveway and garage. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's a very confusing property.
So their property, in other words, is it looks like it must be right up to the property line.
It's right up to the property. Yeah, they're right up on our like our driveway property line. Yep.
Yeah, I was trying to remember what was there before that was there, but I think
it was a police station, from what I've heard.
I don't know about that, but
maybe way back before.
Maybe a parking lot or something. Or
the condo building?
Yeah, before the condo building was.
That was a parking lot.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah,
it would have been a police station years ago, but
years ago. Okay,
10 years ago, it was a 15.
Yeah, this development was 2010, 2011. So.
Yeah, Paul Sullivan built it.
Yeah, before that, it was a parking lot. So they put in a house that for the condo development, 4 floors that blocked, and it was up to the property line. I guess those are the only questions I have for now. Thanks.
Yeah, and I've just confirmed, looking at the Registry of Deeds, that yes, there's a determination that it's not. They didn't have to file a notice of intent.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
It's buried on page 4. Let me just make sure I get out of that part. So I didn't have any questions. I'm sort of struck by the fact that, that I'm sure that the owner of your property might have had a lot to say when the application came in for the condominium next door. But that obviously that wasn't, I think that went to the planning board.
Different time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before our time.
Yes. And so, Bill, do we have people that have hands raised in attendance?
We do. We've got Mary Sweeney. She should be able to speak now.
Okay.
Ms. Sweeney, welcome to the board.
Nice to be here. Not quite sure why I'm not being seen, but it's okay. So I wanted to, first of all, thank Jen because, she did share her plans, and I do appreciate her efforts at including us with the information. They do have a lovely courtyard, which I do appreciate. But I am in Unit 8, which is at the very front southwest corner of 36 Central Avenue. And just to give you a sense of how the apartment is laid out, the 2 bedrooms are at the front of the apartment and therefore on Central Avenue. So the living space is actually back along the driveway. I do have a deck, which Jen has shown you, and living area. And so right now, what I can see from my deck and my living room, and actually even from my kitchen, I can look straight out and I can see the traffic on School Street, if you can believe that, with all those buildings there. So it's a pretty open view that I have now, despite I think 7 properties that are between my unit and School Street. So that's the view I have now.
I'm sorry, Mary, just on that point while we're on it.
Yes, sir.
That's only in the winter though, or is that in all seasons?
All seasons.
All seasons, wow. I wouldn't
Yeah.
have thought that.
I know. I wouldn't have either, but that's the way it is. And, again, it's the other part of my view that I have, which is over the roof at 42 Central Avenue, is I can see a number of actually lovely trees on the other side of the brook there. There are birch trees, there's maple, there's oak, and while I don't see the roof flare, I do see a lot of the trees. So that's a pleasing part of the view. I do believe once the second floor is there, the bump out that's created from raising the second floor over the porch, the front portico porch that they have now, as well as that corner of the building, will essentially block a lot of my view, the straight through view. I will still have the lovely view of the courtyard, but other than that, I think it's blocked a bit. The other thing I would say is that because the property line for the apartment building is angled, the front windows and the side window on the second floor that's proposed will actually look towards, or my windows look towards those windows. And so I will lose privacy in the area of my home where I spend most of my waking time. And so for those reasons, I think I am losing privacy. I am probably losing light if I have to, have my shades closed more of the time because of privacy, and then the view that I have. And it's an urban view, but it is a view, and it is relatively open. And I would hate to lose that with the second story. So from my point of view, the nonconformity does significantly disadvantage me the way it's planned now. So I'd be happy to answer questions.
Anybody have any questions?
I don't.
I don't either.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mrs. Sweeney, Miss
Thank
Sweeney,
you.
for attending. Thank you. Bill, do we have somebody else?
I don't see any other hands right now.
Okay. Um, Gentlemen, do you have any other questions on this? I mean, I think we got, I looked at the plans. I know the property, that I thought the design, and really we're just looking at the height, situation. And, that seems to, that's the sort of the only issue that was raised by the, building commissioner.
Specifically, Madam Chair, the building commissioner indicated that the height was in violation and that therefore the applicant needs a special permit.
Yes. Let me just go back to his letter. As you know, our building, commissioner, has taken, a sort of different view of, nonconformities than had been the case with our prior,
Mhm.
and I've chatted with him about that. I'm looking for his letter. Here we have it. It's a residency zoning district. The existing house was built in 1916. It's a non-legal, pre-existing, non-conforming structure on a legal non-conforming lot. And the expansion upwards with the new second story requires a special permit from the Board of Appeals, because of Article 4, Section 275, 4.1-B says a valid pre-existing non-conforming single-family or two-family may be extended or altered as of right within the existing building envelope or within a height and setback which will conform, um, and may be further extended, beyond that height if, authorized by a special permit from the
Okay.
Board of Appeals.
Okay.
I think that the height, if I recall, sorry, I feel like there was some back and forth. There was actually, it wasn't clear if we had to go to zoning at first, because I think the commissioner communicated we actually didn't need to go. But then I think because there was concern about having close abutters, that because we're so close, I think that was why it went. That was at least what was communicated, say in the letter, but just in conversation. So I don't know if that's helpful at all, but
It feels to me like it's a modification of the nonconformity. I mean, it's a nonconforming
It's an
structure,
increase.
which is being modified.
Yeah.
close abutters, yeah.
It happens
Yeah.
to be that he's citing the height because you're staying within the building footprint.
Right.
But we're
I mean,
within the height that's allowed.
Yeah.
That wasn't there.
I mean, if we want to have if Madam Chair, if you're inviting the members to have a pre-deliberation conversation,
Yes, I am.
I feel like there's been testimony that really go to the heart of the special permit standard in terms of modification. What do I want to say?
Expansion.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm
Well,
sorry.
we're not going, it's not a variance, so we don't
No,
have.
no. I hear
Yeah.
you on that, but I'm
Right.
on the no more detrimental effect
Right.
Conversation. And this is not a modest increase. This is a two times adding. This is a building that's going to be two times the size. So I think that's an important consideration in light of the testimony. That's what I wanted to share.
Okay. I'm just gonna make another ask for Bill. Is there anyone else who has, their hand up? I mean, I would point out the only the only opposition that was submitted was from members of the condominium, and basically addressing the issues of privacy, loss of view, potential economic, setbacks caused by the fact that there's now a different house next door. There wasn't, anything about that. Somebody had suggested that they would be amenable to the, project if it had a flat roof, because I guess they're on a level that, that a flat roof would not impact their view. But that wouldn't probably have been the best design choice.
Not for
So
unfortunately.
those are the sort of, as I said, it was basically the privacy and loss of view. And from those people on that side of the condo association. The rest, as I said, everybody else in the neighborhood had submitted letters in favor. So Jennifer, is there anything else you wanted to add before we sort of go into conversation about this application?
Nothing comes to mind, unless there's any questions.
Like you're gonna start screaming, I suppose. Um, so I think it's a we have I think all the information that we need, and we should probably go into deliberations. So I'd take a vote to close the public hearing on this,
So
gentlemen. Okay, Jeff.
Fine.
Okay. All right. Um, as I said, the request for the relief is on the vertical height on this building only. It does in fact stay within the existing footprint, and is actually less on the second floor because, as I said, they didn't do the bump out on the other. Um, while I'm certainly sympathetic to the people in the condominium association, I also live in a residency, and can see, people can see into the kitchen of my house from the house next door, which is only separated by a driveway. So we do sort of have that kind of congestion, as they say, in these residency districts in this town. So, gentlemen, what are your thoughts about this?
I mean, I don't know. This is a tough one. I was looking up again the standards as Jeffrey was talking about. The standards. It has to be showing that it will not substantially increase any detrimental or injurious effect of the building or use on the neighborhood. And then in another section on special permits, it says that it is it can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and without substantially derogating from the intent or purpose of this bylaw. Those are the two standards. Um, it is, as Jeffrey pointed out, a significant um, increase in that it's doubling the size of, I guess, the nonconformity on the in the side yard requirements. On the other hand, as you pointed out, Kathleen, I there are a lot of houses that have issues that when they're close together. And one of the reasons I asked Jeffrey earlier, or asked you guys if you could remember what had been on the property, was it was my memory that it was a parking lot, and I could just imagine, the owners of that
Mhm.
house back then, when it was one floor and having a four-floor condominium put up next to them, which kind of blocked the view of what used to be a parking lot. But so I don't know. I'm not completely sure how the standard should be applied in this case. And I appreciate hearing from you guys on it too, my colleagues.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Mullen.
I think it's a lot. I mean, it's the same thing.
Mm.
Dublin. I like the house. I years ago was on that Central Ave um, investment study. I don't know, probably 30 years now. And I appreciate the fact that the building is tight together and that there's been support. But in the light of objection, in light of the standard on on derogation and with the intent of the bylaw, the concern about privacy and air and light and space, it just feels to me like it goes to the heart of that. So I just think it's if it were modest, and I understand why it's not modest. I wouldn't feel as strongly, but making this building two times the size. Um, I know it's a small building on a small footprint, and I actually like the design, but yeah, I don't think at least I can't ignore the
Mm,
standard. That's my feeling, at least preliminarily. Talk me out of it, but
mm,
that's where I am with it.
mm. Well, I mean, I just, I recognize that, it is a substantial increase, but it seems to me that it's in line with the rest of the neighborhood, whereas the current dwelling is really an anomaly. It's hard for me to picture other one-story houses in of that age in this town anymore. Most of those things get blown out, by somebody building a McMansion. We don't really have that many of these size dwellings left. Um, and and I also, can imagine the consternation caused when the Central Lab went in, because that's a pretty substantial building. And I sat in on the hearings for the Hendry's one down the street, and that was the huge complaint about that building too, being a bulk in size, even though it was replacing an existing factory. Um, and then I'm sensitive to the fact that zoning bylaws, sort of set up but setback lines and all those kinds of things to do provide some sense of privacy and some protection, for light and views and that sort of thing from other houses. But I mean, I think this one actually, because she's not expanding the size of the building, either the footprint. Um, that I think that she's done the best she can to make sure that she has reduced the impact on the neighbors by not asking for that. We let people add dormers, we had let people finish off their third floors and add another bedroom or something like that on a lot of these houses. Those are mostly the ones that are done by our zoning administrator. But we've sort of been doing those, kind of allowing those on a regular basis. So I guess, um, I mean, with the cost of everything these days, it's hard to imagine how you could do an extension on the second floor do a second floor that would be any smaller. Um, but I suppose that's a consideration. But I hear you about, the detriment, but I also sort of feel like this one isn't isn't that detrimental. It's kind of the way I sort of feel it. I mean, I like, the design sensitive, and it's not 6 stories, it's just two. But that may not be compelling. Any other thoughts?
Wonder if effort's been made to reduce the size of the building.
Um, I'm sorry, am I okay to answer that or?
Please, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess we were really just sticking with the footprint, so I don't know that how we would I mean, there would still be it would still have the same issue where we're going up. Like I know there was reference to a flat roof that really wouldn't, that doesn't fit in with the neighborhood, that doesn't work with
Right.
construction in New England. I'm not sure how we would do that realistically. Just being honest with, we've kind of just.
No, and quite honestly, Jennifer, I don't know that that's going to make the other people happy. They don't
I
want
think
to
either
see,
way, you're still going up, and so
you're still going to block the view
yeah,
somehow, even if you just put up a chimney.
yeah. We're going to cut the chimney off, and since the gas fireplace. So,
No, I know, but
no,
the question really, it's not so much keeping everybody satisfied as much as it's a reasonable effort has been made to minimize the impact, whatever it may be, on the detriment to the neighboring properties. To me, that would be important to know,
mhm,
rather than what appears to be a simple calculation of I've got this footprint, I want to go up one more floor, which doubles in size.
mhm,
I'm really looking for something along the lines of we thought about this, we considered it. This is a 45% increase. I forget about, if John Leonard were here,
Mm.
we would say we're not architects and we don't really have much to say about the design, but we do have things to say about trying to comply with the special permit standard. And when I think about that, I think about efforts that have been made to try to do that.
Hmm.
Even if it's imperfect, it's an imperfect situation. So that's really in my mind the effort that's been made to say there's no other way to accomplish this design objective of trying to make the most useful the maximum use of this very small home in
Right.
an area where I love. And I don't think we heard testimony on that necessarily. So that's really my question.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. I think we felt that it was a very, like I said, kind of sticking with the footprint, going up. We're not increasing any nonconformity. I understand that obviously we're taking up more space height wise. And like I said, it seems like it's the vertical that's the issue. We thought it was a very modest, I know obviously I know we're doubling the space and adding a floor, but we felt like it was pretty modest, not like we're adding huge ceiling height or it's really just an additional 10 feet just to
Yeah.
accommodate. So I'm not sure that, I'm not sure how honestly, I'm not sure how we would scale that back and have it still be kind of worth going through all of this for construction and everything. Like the ceiling height, the attic space, if we started to add dormers or things like that, it's just not
Mm.
tall enough. Like that's not going to work. So either way, you're lifting the roof off. So I mean, I don't know that we found another path.
Yeah. Would you be willing to think about that?
Um, we can try. I just don't. I'm not sure how we can try. But I'm not sure. I
Don't
mean,
get
it's
me
not.
wrong.
I feel like where we landed is probably, uh, yeah. Okay.
Well, we put it this way. I hear the probably. If I would just feel better if the testimony was we tried a lot of designs, this is the best one, rather than, and I just don't think we heard that. So that's the nature of my question. I'm not saying it's a bad design. I like the building.
Yeah.
I think it's handsome, but um, I'm thinking more about the efforts made to minimize the impact. That's all,
Hmm.
without prejudging the outcome.
So if there were, so Jennifer, so if there was more sort of information or whatever that sort of could show that you really have no other options.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's
Yeah, I
that.
guess what is helpful? Like I guess what would be the ask? Like what would I come back with? Like just
Well, you
or
sort of,
engage the architect to, for things that we've kind of
well,
gone through that.
here's an idea. You could have the architect come to the meeting
Yeah. Yeah.
and talk about, whatever iterations they went through
Well,
to
let me
come
give you
up.
an example. There was no testimony on how many bedrooms there are or where they are. And if the objective is to make a three-bedroom home, because that's really what people need, then, or one way to do that would be the only way to do a three-bedroom home or a four-bedroom. I don't even know how many bedrooms are in there.
Yeah.
Um, it would be that kind of thing. Or the purpose and intent of this project is to do this. And the way that I accomplish that is I have to build this.
Yeah.
It would be that kind of conversation, come up with a couple of design alternatives that accomplish the purpose and intent or don't.
Right.
Um, and that would be more of an informed analysis
That's
that would
fair.
help,
I
I
guess
think it would help the
you're right.
board
Yeah.
evaluate this issue.
We didn't get into the inside much. I guess I did say that we do need the additional space for, family reasons.
Yeah, you were clear on that, and that's
Yeah, and
very
I guess we didn't get
common.
into the inside. So this does add, so our main floor now, it's pretty tight, right? So we have like it's not a very modern setup, I guess is what you would say, right? So we have a bedroom that we use currently now that barely you can kind of squeak everything in there and get a king size bed in there. Tiny, there's two tiny bathrooms, and then there's a small bedroom that's not quite a bedroom. It's more of an office, and then there's one other bedroom that's kind of open and it's in a weird spot. So I think the idea was we would lose that weird bedroom for the staircase. We'd actually have something that resembled more of like a master bedroom kind of area. and then, two other secondary bedrooms on the same floor. So it's just kind of creating a more modern, kind of livable floor plan. That was the intent. So
That's fair.
So do you think we should continue this hearing and have Jen come back?
I would support that, only because I'm concerned about the vote.
Yeah, because we don't want to vote no, because then you can't come
Well,
back.
I'll vote the way I want. I'm not concerned about voting. We can vote.
Yeah.
But I would like to, I mean, as one member of the board, I would suggest that the record is incomplete on a central point that I think would be helpful for the board to evaluate meeting the special permit standard that Ted has articulated. I guess that's the most direct way for me to say that. But again, I'm only one member. I will say, because there's only three of us, Chapter 48, Section 9 requires unanimous vote.
Right.
Yeah.
requires what? I'm sorry,
A unanimous vote.
Oh, unanimous vote. Got
If
it.
you had more than five members of the board, it would be 2/3.
Yeah.
So
And even if we had five, you would.
yeah, got to be more.
Yeah. But because it has to be unanimous. And so I think what you're hearing is that we just need more information to support the notion, if we decided to, that you had investigated all the possibilities. The existing situation is X. We looked at Y, came up with Z.
Okay. Okay. Um,
So do you think that, as I said, we've set the other meeting for the 14th of May? Do you think you could get, see if your architect or somebody could come and support you on this?
Sure, I can try. Let me just check that date because we have an annual client conference at work. That's right around. Okay. No, that would probably be the only date. Otherwise, it would get pushed further.
No, we could talk about, another date. We just have to check people's availability.
Got it. I do have we have our annual client conference that we're hosting in Boston for work, and we have our closing dinner that night.
No, that's fine.
I can try to skip it if I need to, but
No.
I could do another date if I mean, part of it is when would the applicant be ready, but are we trying to stick to Thursdays?
Well, we were trying to sort of make, the scheduling easier by just sort of saying, it was this. But doesn't have to, it could be, it could be another Thursday, or it could be another day of the week.
Thursday after that,
How about the 20th? The 21st I can't do.
I mean, I'm okay on the 20th.
The 20th, a Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I have rehearsals on the Wednesdays, but I can skip it because it's not that hard. I'm an
I don't
alto.
want you to do that.
I'm an alto. We sing G. We sing G for like 18 pages. Yeah.
I know, but I think the board has already agreed that you need rehearsal. So
Would the 19th work?
See here.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have anything that evening right now.
Okay. If that works with everybody, that works with me. Does that work with you, Jennifer?
That works for me.
Does it work with Bill?
Bill?
And Mary might want to be.
I can make that work.
And Miss Sweeney?
It's okay for me too. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so we say 7 p.m. on May 19th.
Bill, to the extent that there were other people who weighed in on this, I think it might be helpful to notify them that the hearing's been continued,
Will do.
pending a vote of the board, of course.
Right. Okay. So we have a motion,
Yeah, so moved.
second,
To continue, this is to
to
continue
continue to
during the
May
May
19th at 7
19th.
p.m.
Yeah, a second.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right,
All right.
May 19th.
Thank you for
And-
everybody's time. I appreciate it.
And I hope that as I said, you've listened to the comments from Jeff and Ted about what the standards are, what we need to sort of find to be able to support the granting of a special permit and sort of address those questions. That would be great.
Okay, we'll work on that.
And thank you very much for Miss Sweeney for attending, and to your neighbors for sending in letters. We appreciate that. And I would take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And with thanks to the team. Thank you very much.
Good night now.
All right.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Bill.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Good night all.